Hello everyone, my name is Guadalupe. Our group's topic is the death penalty. So what is the death penalty? Well, the death penalty is a punishment given for serious crimes where the convicted person needs to pay for his or her crime with death. The death penalty is also referred to as the capital punishment. There are a total of 29 states in the U.S. where the death penalty is legal and in use, and there are 21 states where it is completely illegal and abolished. Our state of California has a moratorium on the death penalty, which it just means that executions are being delayed, and for the time being, they are not being conducted. Many people in the U.S. support the death penalty for various reasons. In a particular study done by Guadalupe and Borg, it was found that many pro-death penalty supporters believe that the death penalty has high deterrence, is cost-effective, and is beneficial to our society. In cases of murders, pro-death penalty supporters also believe that it is fair to pay a life for a life.
So although there are many Americans who support the death penalty, there are many reasons why we shouldn't support it. As we are all human, our first thought is with the family of these victims who are considered for the death penalty. These victims are someone's mother, father, sister, brother, somebody's child at the end of the day. And there has to be another way other than taking a human's life for there to be a resolution to the crime they've committed. The death penalty doesn't effectively deter crime long term, like many believe it to be true, meaning it doesn't change the amount of specific crime from happening. It's also simply an inhumane act. It goes against a person's basic human right not to be exposed to any torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Having the power to take away the opportunity for many people to try to be rehabilitated is another reason why having the death penalty shouldn't be considered at all. These victims aren't given the chance to overall be changed, to become a better person, and in most instances, many of them have suffered mental illnesses. So having programs provided for them to again be rehabilitated, to treat them, is very important. It is also sad to say that race has played a part in the decision of the death penalty, which is just unacceptable. There have been many instances that a victim being sentenced to death is decided simply on the color of their skin, which is not okay. Lastly, but very important to know and realize, is that the death penalty is irreversible. There's no way of taking it back. There's no way to undo it. And this is the overall reason why the death penalty should be abolished.
Additionally, another big flaw of the death penalty is the cost. Generally, one of the common arguments people give in support of the death penalty is that it would be much cheaper to just kill dangerous inmates rather than pay for their housing and food. In actuality, the opposite is more likely true. To start off, a 2011 report by the ACLU of California gives a brief summary of the several monetary issues that were discovered surrounding the death penalty. It should be mentioned that the authors of this report are heavily biased against the death penalty, which could potentially skew their findings. Still, the section on the cost of the death penalty is mostly based on objective fact, which means it is still useful as a brief summary. Focusing on the death penalty system in California, this section goes into detail about how the death penalty systems are handed out. While most people might assume that the death penalty is handed out like any other verdict, in California, 2 trials are required. Not only does this make the whole process longer, but also, according to the report, 20 times more expensive than the trials for life imprisonment. Additional data collected by the ACLU can put this into more understandable figures. According to the report, the least expensive trial for death costed $1 million more than the most expensive life without parole case. And yes, all those costs get shifted onto the California taxpayers, which means me, you, and anyone else in our class. This isn't just a California issue either. In 2003, the Kansas state government performed an audit on the death penalty system, trying to figure out how expensive these cases really were. The reports were pretty conclusive. Cases where the death penalty was given out were nearly double the cost of cases where other sentences were pursued. The death penalty didn't even have to be handed out to increase costs. Simply the prosecution seeking the death penalty increased prices by a small amount. Notes that there were a few cases where costs actually weren't higher than other types of cases. But these were the only ones where defendants who prosecution sought the death penalty for were super young. So keeping them in prison for life probably would have been more expensive than just killing them. But that raises a whole nother ethical issue. Should we really just be killing young people because it's cheaper? Again, with most of these cases, the costs were extremely high, and these were all shifted onto the Kansas taxpayers. These findings debunk the idea that the death penalty is the quote-unquote cheaper option. In reality, the opposite is true. In conclusion, there is more reason to not use the death penalty rather than to use it. While there are several arguments that people like to give in support of the death penalty, as stated earlier in the video, most of these arguments are pretty opinion-based or just straight up not true. Considering the fact that the death penalty is such a drastic option that removes any chances of further rehabilitation, why are we using it? This is the big question that comes with the death penalty. If it's not cheap, if it's based on opinion, and it removes the chance of rehabilitation, then what is it really useful for? Of course, this is mostly a subjective matter based on personal opinion, and it will differ for everyone. But for most people who are focusing solely on the facts, the death penalty needs to go. That is the end of our video presentation. Thank you for watching.